All right, fellas. So, breaking news. The New York Knicks are expected to land on two-time NBA Coach of the Year Mike Brown as the franchise's next head coach. Knicks president Leon Rose underwent a thorough process since the firing of Tom Thibodeau a month ago. The Knicks requested permission for 5 NBA head coaches and were denied, then interviewed several available coaches and went through the multi-round stages with candidates. Brown is a 4-time champion as a top assistant in Golden State and San Antonio under both Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich, and has coached an array of superstars across the 3 decades of coaching in the NBA. Most recently, in 2022-23, Brown's Kings had the best offense in the NBA. Now, more specifically on that last bit there, the 2022-23 season where the Kings were the best offense in the NBA, how much of that was up to Mike Brown, and how much of that is up to one of his lead assistants, Jordi Fernandez, now coach of the Nets, will be very interesting to see. A little bit of interesting news here from my guy Chris. All right, once again, follows me on Twitter. All right. Still, I don't think he knows I exist. However, he follows me on Twitter. Knicks are close to hiring Mike Brown. Brown is 454 and 304 in his career with the Cavs, Lakers, and Kings. This is the interesting bit here, folks. League sources tell me he's already begun reaching out to potential assistants to start building his staff. Now, the other day, it was reported that although at that time he was still seen as a head coach candidate, there was a report from Mark Stein saying if the Knicks were to hire Mike Brown, acquiring James Borrego to be a lead assistant on Mike Brown's staff from the New Orleans Pelicans would be a high priority. Now that Mike Brown is in the fold as the head coach, could he being James Borrego, be considered as a candidate to be Mike Brown's lead assistant? I think likely, yes. So, should be interesting to see how Mike Brown begins to approach building up his staff. Additionally, another bit of news here, have also heard the extent to which Mike Brown was, quote, bought in on Brunson and Towns as a duo was notable to the Knicks throughout the interview process. Doesn't mean the Knicks are married to the pairing, things change fast, but making the most of what you have may be a factor. Does this mean that Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns are remaining together? I think the most likely scenario is yes, and Mike Brown may be one of the head coaches most equipped to unlocking their true potential as a pairing. Of course, most recently, De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, different players than Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. However, the blueprint, in a way, is sort of there with your lead point guard being your top option, and then a center who can do more than just, bang down low. All right, pause, kind of. Domantas Sabonis is a very strong screener and playmaker at the big man spot. I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns is quite the screener or playmaker that he is. However, I think he's just all around a better offensive player. So, seeing what Mike Brown and his staff could potentially unlock from the Brunson-Towns duo is something I'm going to be very interested in seeing. Last year, Tom Thibodeau didn't really do much in terms of making their lives easier, so I think it is a top priority to be able to do that this upcoming season. The Knicks have finally got their guy. All right, no more waiting, no more hearing from people that, they have no idea what they're doing. Yes, they had a plan all along. Shocker. Anyways, Knicks still have 2 roster spots to fill out. It's going to be interesting to see if they choose to make a deal to try and open up a little more cap space to make it so they don't have to turn to maybe like a rookie like Kevin McCullough Jr. Shout out Kansas. But once again, finally we have our guy. It's going to be interesting to see where you go from here. And whatever happens, I'll be here.